Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman Unseen. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batman Unseen is a story that takes place in the early to mid years of Batman's career. Exactly where it takes place, well, we'll get into that towards the end of the video. Let's just jump right into the plot itself. Now, Batman Unseen's plot revolves around Black Mask hiring a Dr. Glass to create an invisibility formula, a serum that can make people invisible. And he funds this whole operation, and, well, Dr. Glass is actually successful in doing so. He creates this invisibility serum, which first makes his skin invisible, then his muscles, and then his internal organs, and his skeleton, and so on and so forth, until it makes him completely invisible. The problem with this serum is it makes him completely loopy, too. And he starts going on a murderous rampage, killing people that have crossed him in the past, ex-girlfriends, former bosses, the little kid that cut in front of him in line at the grocery store. Tons of people. He just goes around on a killing spree. At the same time, Batman needs to go around and stop this so-called Meat Man killer. And at the same time has to struggle with the fact that the criminals in Gotham don't fear him anymore. They view him as a man rather than some kind of mystical beast of the night. Now, it's almost not worth pointing that out because although in the first chapter or two they kind of deal with the whole concept of Batman not being scary anymore, it's not really touched upon until the very, very end. Again, it's kind of like something they just drop and forget and they say, oh shit, we had this plot point to deal with. Let's throw it in towards the end. But with that said, that's the basic concept of the story. It's Batman versus an Invisible Man. Yes, Batman versus an Invisible Man. Not the Invisible Man, an Invisible Man. Although they look the same, you can't really see them, so they look exactly the same. Anyways, with that said, exactly where this takes place in the Batman timeline is a little debatable, but there is a few points that can help us out. First point is, well, James Gordon is commissioner, so this can take place anytime after Nightcry. In addition to that, Black Mask is around, and Black Mask shows up after Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing, so this takes place sometime after Batman Wrath. Mattis Malone is awfully in there, and Mattis Malone technically makes his first debut in Batman Tales of the Demon, although there has been a few stories where people have mixed up and put him earlier on, but basically in Batman Tales of the Demon. And of course, Batman's sporting his classic detective costume, which is the blue cape and cowl, the yellow bat symbol, and the capsules for a belt. So, if I had to guess exactly where this would go, I would place it sometime after Batman Wrath and before 10 Nights of the Beast. Again, it's even debatable on whether or not this story belongs in continuity, but from all the research that I've done, there's nothing to say that this doesn't. In addition to that, there's a lot of in-canon heroes and villains that show up in this. Commissioner Gordon, Black Mask, Harvey Bullock. All these characters are characters that usually are in the mainstream continuity. So until said otherwise, this is canon in the Batman universe. So if it is canon in the Batman universe, it belongs sometime after Batman Wrath, and sometime before Batman 10 Nights of the Beast. So anyways, let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Well, good. The art, for the most part, has a certain charm to it. This is the same art that's used for Batman After Midnight, I believe it is called. And it's unique art. It gives Batman more of a monstrous creature of the night look, which sometimes can be refreshing. Now, I, like many other people, love Batman being drawn by artists like Ed Benn, Jim Lee, George Perez, who do a fantastic job at making Batman just look awesome. And they're my favorite ways of making Batman look awesome. But sometimes it's good to have guys like Tim Sale and the artist that does this, who makes Batman look more like a creature of the night. So it has a certain charm to that. However, Batman's probably the best looking thing in this. All the other characters are kind of, okay at best. Bruce Wayne looks like a complete dork. But the art does have a certain charm to it, which is nice. This story is a little silly, but it is something that grows on you after a while. And the struggle between Batman and this Invisible Man can be actually kind of exciting. How can Batman deal with someone that he can't see? Now, you can definitely tell this takes place earlier on in Batman's career, because if that happened to Batman now, he would just close his eyes and hear where the person's coming and beat the shit out of him. But the struggle for Batman to go up against this Invisible Man is actually pretty cool. I like it. And throwing Black Mask in there is a nice little touch, too. Now, the writer that does this is the same writer that actually introduced Black Mask into the DC Universe. So, it's nice to have a little Black Mask in there with the person that has done him beforehand and created him. So I like to have Black Mask in there, especially seeing that the original Black Mask is dead, and we have a new Black Mask, so it's nice to see the classic Black Mask in there. The action scenes are okay. I wouldn't say they're amazing. I wouldn't say they're on the level of very good. They're just okay. Bad. Well, the first bad is the story is just really, 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 really cheesy. I mean, it does have a little bit of a charm to it, but it's not enough to really make the story interesting or new or vibrant. It's Batman versus the Invisible Man. Batman has gone up against so many different kind of monsters that this seems just kind of cliche and mediocre. The writing is okay, but it's nothing to send home to. It's nothing that I would say is amazing. Actually, at some points, Bruce Wayne is portrayed as more of a brute, which I really don't like, how Batman is portrayed as a brute, a mindless, vicious, crime-beating machine, where Batman's supposed to be a sophisticated detective who uses his brain and his intellect rather than overpowering people. There are a few parts in the book which are nice, that Batman comments that a fight is always lost the second it starts, or stuff like that, that makes Batman sound insightful and smart, but on the whole, he sounds like a brute in this. There's even one point where Bruce Wayne, in his office with the employee there, kind of curls up in the Batman position, all badass and mad, brute, muscular kind of position, like, rah. And it just seems kind of cheesy. Batman's portrayed this way too much as a brute. Black Mask, although in this comic, didn't play a huge role either. Sure, he was the villain that was financing this Dr. Glass, but he only shows up probably about 50% of the time, and that's about it. It would have been nice to have a little bit more Black Mask in there, and it would have been nice to have him be a little bit more sadistic, like the Black Mask I know and love. This Black Mask feels like a generic crime lord at best. Next thing is, I really hate these Batman one-shot stories that you have no idea where they belong, and you don't even know if they're in canon. Like I said before, there's nothing to say that this isn't canon. It doesn't conflict with anything, and if anything, it's supported by characters that are in the DC Universe. However, it's just hard to know where it belongs. I feel as though it belongs where I told you, sometime after Wrath and before 10 Nights of the Beast, but on a whole, it's still annoying as hell. Stuff like this, Batman, Bat and the Beast, and other stories that could take place anywhere in the Batman universe, it's annoying not knowing where they go and actually have to try to figure it out. It's fun, but it is annoying. So, that kind of pisses me off. One last thing is, if you're gonna do these one-shot Batman stories, it would be nice if you did a really good Batman story. You know, Batman stories like these, they're just a dime a dozen. They really are. A hardcore Batman fan's gonna pick this up, but for a general Batman fan or any comic book fan, they're gonna look at this and laugh, because there's nothing insightful, nothing intriguing, nothing to draw people in at all. Most people don't know who Black Mask is unless you're a Batman fan. And then the concept of Batman going up against the Invisible Man sounds silly at best. It would have been better to have a more predominant Batman villain show up here. Maybe one that hasn't even been showcased that much in Batman in modern continuity, like Poison Ivy, or the Mad Hatter, or Clayface or something, who have been really more Silver and Bronze Age characters that kind of lost their edge in recent years. So, with that said, whether or not you should get it. Well, Batman Unseen did have a few nice little points that actually made me enjoy the story. It was probably better that I read it in parts throughout 2 days rather than all in one sitting. But despite the fact that it did charm me in a few ways, it really wasn't that good of a story. It's not worth spending $14 on, it's kind of silly, and it's just not worth it. It really isn't. So if you're a Batman fan looking to pick up a Batman story, I would avoid Batman Unseen. Actually, just try not to see it at all. Ha 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 ha. Oh god, I had to use that bad pun. Anyways, with that said, this is Andrew saying peace out for now.